History isn't all sunshine and rainbows. Prepare for chills, not thrills, as we crack open the vault of 19 disturbing facts from the past. From cannibalistic cults to deadly medical blunders, brace for the macabre truths that lurk beneath the surface of history. Stained church glass. Months ago, inspectors found damage to the iconic stained glass windows at Stanford Memorial Church during a routine survey by the land, buildings, and real estate team. The lilies of the field window at the church's front had been vandalized with multiple wine bottles, breaking 3 layers of glass, damaging lead, and chipping sandstone. Installed in 1912 after the 1906 earthquake, these century-old windows hold significant spiritual and historical value. Conservator Leslie Bone, overseeing repairs, faced the challenge of matching unique glass pieces. Plexiglass temporarily replaced the damaged windows during events for George Shultz and Donald Kennedy. The vandalism, initially unnoticed due to cleanup, required meticulous reconstruction by stained glass expert Connie Levitz. After months of complex restoration, the windows were reinstalled on November 15th, garnering full support from the university's leadership. Napoleon Bonaparte's height misconception. Napoleon Bonaparte is commonly remembered for his prowess as a conqueror and alleged short stature, a notion debunked by historical records. While often described as 5 feet 2 inches tall, there's a strong argument suggesting he was closer to 5 feet 6 inches, an average height for his time. Napoleon's height became a topic of psychological profiles, linked to the short man syndrome or Napoleon complex, attributing aggression to compensate for height. However, if Napoleon was of average height, this theory doesn't hold. Discrepancies in measurement units, with the French inch longer than the British inch, contributed to the misconception. The myth of Napoleon's short stature may have been perpetuated by his towering bodyguards and soldiers, reinforcing the idea through enemy propaganda and the term le petit caporal, a nickname more of affection than an accurate descriptor of his height. The history of the American flag. The American flag, a symbol of the United States' extensive history, may be older than commonly thought. Old Glory, Stars and Stripes, and the Star-Spangled Banner, these names encapsulate the flag's enduring presence throughout over 200 years of American history, serving as a vital aspect of national identity. Evolving both physically and symbolically, the flag has navigated times of crisis and triumph, gaining global recognition. Terry Ruggles recounts its evolution, highlighting its role in war, sorrow, joy, and triumph. From the Sons of Liberty's protest flag to Washington's Grand Union, the flag's components mirrored the stages of the evolving revolution. The blue field, stars, and stripes gained significance, culminating in the iconic design we know today. Betsy Ross's involvement and the flag's evolution from 1777 to its current form symbolize freedom, dignity, and the essence of being American. Its colors represent revolution, bravery, purity, and peace. A timeless representation of America's enduring values, the flag features 13 stripes and 50 stars. The Pope's War on Cats. In the struggle known as the Pope's War on Cats, a strange war on cats was started by Pope Gregory IX, the pope who dominated the Catholic world from 1227 until 1241. The pope, who thought that cats carried the spirit of Satan, ordered a widespread cat extinction in 1233 and 1234. This superstition fueled the assumption that black cats were unlucky. Some historians speculate that the extensive cat killings aimed to induce the plague, as people thought Satan would retaliate for the feline massacre. Ironically, this persecution led to a surge in rat populations, as the cat's absence allowed the rat population to flourish. Unintentionally, the decline in cat numbers indirectly contributed to the spread of the plague via fleas on rats. The Pope's War on Cats had enduring consequences, affecting both humans and felines far beyond its immediate time frame. Thomas Edison's talking doll. Released in 1890, Thomas Edison's talking dolls received renewed interest as unsettling historical toys that can create odd sounds. Standing at about 2 feet tall with glassy-eyed cherub faces, wooden limbs, and metal bodies, these dolls were among the world's first talking dolls. Edison produced around 500 of them, featuring a miniature spring-activated phonograph in their metal bodies driven by a crank. The recordings, likely voiced by a female factory worker imitating a little girl, emit a disturbing quality. Edison, attempting to market the new wax cylinder phonograph for home use, had the dolls recite familiar verses like, hickory-dickory-dock to compensate for raw sound quality. Despite Edison's efforts, the dolls, deemed expensive and insufficiently lifelike, failed in the market after just a month, leaving behind an eerie sonic legacy. Julius Caesar. The story of Julius Caesar's execution calls into question the conventional wisdom that Senators Brutus and Cassius were the sole architects of the conspiracy on the Ides of March. When we get into the hidden details, the spotlight switches to Decimus Junius Brutus Albinus, one of Caesar's trusted supporters. On that fateful morning in 44 BC, Decimus, a trusted lieutenant and longtime comrade, confronted Caesar about attending the Senate meeting despite ominous signs. Unbeknownst to Caesar, over 60 conspirators, led by Decimus, awaited him with daggers drawn. Historically overshadowed, Decimus played a pivotal role, altering the course of history. Despite being integral to the conspiracy, many historians, influenced by accounts like Plutarch's and Shakespeare's, have often sidelined Decimus, obscuring his motives and the meticulous organization of the conspirators. Genghis Khan, climate hero. Genghis Khan, infamous for his brutal empire and the massacre of millions, surprisingly emerges as an unexpected environmental hero. A study by the Carnegie Institution's Department of Global Energy suggests that the 13th century Mongol leader, responsible for the vast destruction and wiping out civilizations, unintentionally contributed to environmental restoration. The study proposes that Khan's conquests, by allowing previously populated areas to revert to carbon-absorbing forests, may have removed 700 million tons of carbon from the atmosphere, equivalent to a year's worth of global petrol consumption. While the concept is intriguing, it defies Khan's traditional image as a brutal warrior. Amid global issues in 2023, including political instability and persistent catastrophes, a new year promises hope for change. The Guardian urges support for independent journalism to continue providing vital news coverage worldwide. Little Ice Age's impact on European history. Between the 14th and 19th centuries, Europe and North America had severe winters and temperate summers during the Little Ice Age. This colder than usual age, which is well documented in written sources and backed by paleoclimatic evidence such as tree rings and glacier growth, had a significant impact on European history. Climate scientists, relying on temperature proxies primarily from the extratropical Northern Hemisphere, identified distinct climatic epochs, including the Roman Warm Period, Dark Ages Cold Period, Medieval Warm Period, and the Little Ice Age. Previously, assumptions prevailed that these epochs occurred globally simultaneously. But recent research led by Raphael Newcomb from the University of Bern challenges this notion. Using a database developed by the Pages Consortium, the study combines globally distributed paleoclimatic records, shedding light on the past evolution of Earth's climate and questioning the simultaneous occurrence of climatic epochs worldwide. The impostors of Marie Antoinette's son. Louis XVII, the son of Marie Antoinette, had no assurance of a happy afterlife because of the executions of King Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette. The last remaining legitimate heir after his elder brother's death, Louis Charles was born in the opulent surroundings of Versailles as Marie Antoinette's third child. After the family was imprisoned in Temple Prison in 1792, there was unrest that resulted in Louis XVI's execution. Now a pawn in the political game, Louis Charles had to deal with his mother's separation and got entangled in scandalous charges during her trial. In October 1793, Marie Antoinette was killed because people said she hurt others in a bad way. Because of this, other people started pretending to be the missing Louis XVII. This made it hard to know the true story of the French Revolution. The misunderstood role of Vikings. In popular culture, the sometimes misinterpreted Vikings are returning, particularly in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, a video game developed by Ubisoft. The game, which challenges the idea that Vikings were only invaders and is set in the Dark Ages of England in the 9th century, is inspired by Norse mythology. The historical reality reveals the Vikings' technological, military, and cultural advancements during the Viking Age, contrary to the romanticized image of violent heathens or noble savages. Stereotypes like horns and helmets are perpetuated by modern Viking mythology, which dates back to the 18th and 19th centuries. By portraying the Vikings as expert sailors and fighters and highlighting the crucial role their longships played in navigation, AC Valhalla seeks to debunk these misconceptions. The game's release, scheduled for the 2020 holiday, will offer fresh insight into the little-known Viking past. The ancient Roman plumbing. A marvel in civil engineering delivered fresh water to urbanites from distant sources. Wealthy Romans enjoyed hot and cold running water, alongside an advanced sewage system. Around 2,200 years ago, the introduction of lead pipes, known as fistulae, expanded the system significantly. Despite the popular theory linking Rome's fall to lead poisoning, a recent study led by archaeologist Hugo de Lisle reveals that the city's lead plumbing infrastructure was most extensive and complex in the centuries leading to the empire's peak. Analyzing lead content in soil cores from Rome's ancient harbors, the study unveiled a detailed record of expansion between 200 BCE and 250 CE. The layers of lead deposits correlated with the development of a broader network of lead pipes, providing insights into Rome's evolving plumbing system over the centuries. The forbidden forks. In 1530, a Venetian nobleman dining with King Henry VIII would have noted a peculiar absence at the English table: forks. Unlike their European counterparts, English dining customs relied on silver spoons and knives for various foods, considering fingers sufficient for conveying food to the mouth. Forks, seen as overly meticulous or perhaps too Italian, were notably absent. Queen Henrietta Marie introduced forks to England from France in the 1620s, gaining favor during Charles II's reign after his European exile. By the late 1600s, the two-tined fork gained acceptance among refined diners, evolving into the graceful, multi-tined utensil seen in the 18th century. Despite initial skepticism, forks became a dining refinement, although the two-tined variety persisted in rural England into the Victorian era among those reluctant to discard functional cutlery. Traveler Thomas Coriat, encountering forks in Italy in 1608, initially ridiculed them, but later recognized their practicality. Real purpose of the Great Wall of China. The Great Wall of China, renowned for defending against northern invasions, unexpectedly played a role in promoting international trade and migration over the centuries. Evolving into a national symbol and a top tourist attraction, its construction was a debated topic in ancient China. Supporters believed it was vital for sovereignty and defense against the north, while opponents argued it would deplete resources without continuous investment in guarding. The initial prototype of the Great Wall, dating back to the spring and autumn period, 770 to 476 BC, emerged as a defense against opportunistic plundering by herdsmen from the relatively barren northern regions. Dividing fertile green land and arid yellow land, the wall became a defensive system for vassal states on the Rhine-Line border, highlighting its original purpose during ancient times. The Great Emu War of Australia. In 1932, the Great Emu War unfolded in Australia, as troops found themselves perplexed by clever birds outmaneuvering them. The Royal Australian Artillery's 7th Heavy Battery aimed to combat emus ravaging crops in Western Australia. Armed with Lewis machine guns, the troops, led by Major G.P.W. Meredith, faced challenges as the emus proved elusive and resilient, avoiding machine gun fire and withstanding serious injuries. Farmers, seeking military aid, initiated the conflict against a marauding emu population. Despite the military's initial underestimation of the emus, they became formidable adversaries, rendering planned ambushes and machine gun-mounted trucks futile. The Emu War highlighted the unexpected prowess of these birds, leaving the military in awe of their elusive and resilient nature. The Dancing Plague. Between the 14th and 16th centuries, a strange dancing plague affected Europe. Roughly 400 people participated in the Frau Trophy held in Strasbourg in 1518. There was a crazy and contagious circus dancing in the streets, which started this phenomenon. This event was not isolated, as historical accounts from the 14th to 16th centuries depict numerous instances of people compelled to dance until exhaustion, sometimes to their death. Known as St. John's Dance, it left traumatized witnesses and provoked a fearful response from the clergy. Originating in the aftermath of the Black Death in the 1340s and 50s, this medieval dance of death baffles scientists even today, prompting ongoing research into its enigmatic causes. Zombie apocalypse in Europe. An abundance of reanimated corpses caused society to collapse in the zombie apocalypse genre, which has its roots in apocalyptic fiction. The notion grew from George A. Romero's 1968 film, Night of the Living Dead, which was inspired by Richard Matheson's novel, I Am Legend, to become a prominent cultural genre. The apocalypse narrative often involves survivors facing unknown causes or infectious agents. The notion of zombies started in 17th century Haiti, influenced by the voodoo religion, and eventually penetrated Western society through literature and movies, particularly William Seabrook's The Magic Island and Victor Halperin's 1932 film White Zombie. Richard Matheson's I Am Legend had a further impact on the genre, as it was transformed into films such as The Last Man on Earth and Romero's Night of the Living Dead, indicating the advent of flesh-eating zombies in popular culture. The Corpse Queen. Inês de Castro and Dom Pedro of Portugal's tragic love tale began a civil war and ended with nobles honoring a dead woman. Dom Pedro's father was furious with Inês de Castro's covert marriage to the heir apparent to the Portuguese throne in the 14th century, which resulted in her ruthless murder. In a vengeful response, Pedro declared war against his father. Upon becoming King Peter I of Portugal, he sought revenge by posthumously crowning Inês as queen and placing her decaying body on a throne for the nobility to honor. This macabre act became a symbol of the tragic love affair that had not only shattered hearts, but also plunged the nation into conflict. Dentures. Throughout history, dentures have evolved from ancient Egyptian gold-wired teeth in 1500 BC to Italian use of human and animal teeth in 700 BC. Mexican tribes utilized wolf teeth without wiring, directly placing them into empty sockets, while the Mayans relied on stones, bones, and seashells as permanent solutions. Japanese wooden dentures emerged, worn by figures like Nakaoka in the 18th century. Modern dentistry emerged in the 18th century, influenced by French physician Pierre Fauchard's practices. George Washington's ivory dentures were popular in the 19th century, replaced by porcelain dentures in 1774 and later vulcanite dentures in the 1800s. The 20th century saw the rise of acrylic dentures, and in 1952, titanium-based dental implants revolutionized dentistry, providing a permanent solution. The future holds limitless possibilities with advancing technology, shaping the modern, functional dentures offered by providers like the European Denture Center. Vlad the Impaler. A notorious figure in Romanian history, raises questions about his true nature as a bloodthirsty tyrant or a multifaceted and underestimated ruler. Popularly associated with violence and cruelty, his image was shaped during his lifetime and perpetuated by Bram Stoker's Dracula. Despite being a significant historical figure, Vlad has transformed into a pop culture icon and tourist attraction, featuring in various mediums such as books, movies, and video games. Unraveling the myths and fiction surrounding him requires scrutiny akin to that of vampire hunters, aiming to reveal the complexities beneath the sensationalized portrayals and shed light on the genuine story. Remember that acknowledging these facts is crucial for growth and understanding. Comment with your ideas, subscribe for more thought-provoking articles, and let's keep figuring out each aspect of our common history. Thank you for participating.